Concerts are cool, but oh, those ticket prices. Let's talk about the great Bruce Springsteen ticket debacle and related issues with USA Today's Marco Della Cava. Marco, we're going to concerts again, thank goodness, but for some big-name acts like Springsteen, we're seeing dynamic ticket pricing. What exactly is that?
Well, basically, it's the same thing that we experience when we try and get an Uber at a popular time or even try and fly somewhere. Basically, it's supply and demand, right? So if the demand goes up, the supply is scarce and the prices go up. And for a certain number of tickets and seats, usually pretty good seats, that's what is happening. Essentially, you try and buy the tickets, everyone wants them, and the prices go up in the moment. It is important to note that this is something that the artists okay and ask Ticketmaster to do as opposed to the other way around.
This has left a lot of fans unhappy. In the case of the 2023 Springsteen tour, fans had to pre-register to get a shot at buying tickets, only to find most tickets gone right after the on-sale time, and the available tickets, priced at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in many cases. Is that what you found?
Well, that is certainly what the headlines were. When we reached out to Ticketmaster, they sent us a pretty good breakdown. Essentially, 12% of tickets were so-called platinum tickets that were subject to dynamic pricing, and 88% of tickets essentially sold for between $59 and $400, with the average price being $202. They note just 1% of the tickets for all the shows sold for more than $1,000. And more than half of the tickets sold for less than $200. So I don't want to say this was a tempest in a teapot, but I think what was happening here was that the $4,000 tickets, which maybe there were a few of those, got all the headlines. And, of course, Bruce Springsteen is sort of very much known as a working-class guy, man of the people, and I think it was the contrast that was striking for fans. I think they just expected more from him. But it's important to remember here that the artists are trying to recoup some of this money that normally then goes to StubHub, and they don't see any of that.
Full disclosure, I registered for Springsteen's Newark, New Jersey show and had no luck getting an affordable ticket. Has Springsteen or his camp responded to these concerns?
Yeah, his manager, John Landau, did pretty quickly. I think he told a few media outlets essentially what I just told you, that in the end these were high prices for very good seats, and there weren't really that many of them sold at that price. So they were sticking to the line that was sort of backed up by Ticketmaster's numbers that, a good number of the tickets really were less than $200, which of course is not chump change, but it's not $4,000.
So what is the advice for concert fans? Anything we can do to get, cheaper seats?
Yeah, the advice we got from some of the industry experts we talked to was sort of maybe don't jump or bite, as tempting as it is when those tickets first go on sale, and wait. Sometimes ticket prices go down as demand sort of evens out. They also said, check with your local radio station or your credit card company. Sometimes they have the ins to try and get tickets and things like that. But obviously, if you're talking about a Bruce Springsteen, that the ticket prices aren't going to go down, and the interest in him is not going to go down. So that's sort of unique. But for average shows, if you see the prices spike and you're willing to hold off, you might actually find cheaper tickets closer to the date.
Do you remember in your article what the quote was from that music industry analyst, Bob Lefsetz?
I'm going to guess here that the one you're talking about, where he says, if you want to see something, really cheap, go to your local bar.
That's the one. Hey, a lot of states have anti-scalping laws on the books. Are they ever enforced?
Well, interestingly, when you and I were growing up, that they probably were enforced to some degree, depending on where you lived. But with the advent of companies like StubHub, from what I was told, there was a heck of a lot of expensive lobbying going on, where basically they said, look, these are really too hard to enforce. This is the free market operating. So the long story short is that if there are such statutes, they really have never and certainly are not enforced at this point. So it is kind of a free market, free-for-all. Now, having said that, the only criticism I did hear was simply that, Ticketmaster and Live Nation, which are, the same company, do have a monopoly on things. And so folks who are anti-monopolies are saying that the Department of Justice really should think twice about how this one conglomerate has a lock on sort of 80 or 90% of ticket sales. And if that were not the case, it might provide more competition and therefore lower prices.
All right. Marco Della Cava. Good stuff.
Thanks so much.